The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
September 2018. This is the international division of the Majors Series, competing for the Mario Andretti Trophy across the whole year, the most diverse test of skill in all of hosted sim racing. This is the Japanese Grand Prix, round 12 of the championship, 53 laps, a full-length Formula One Grand Prix around the Suzuka circuit in the 2016 McLaren MP430 Formula One car. Sure to be an interesting one. My name is Reese Gardner, and joining me in the commentary box, Cameron Dance. Cam, welcome. Certainly going to be a good one. These guys jumping into one of the most difficult cars to extract pace from out of the entire service.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the easiest car on the surface to drive at all. You've got ERS to manage, you've got DRS, you've got turbo to worry about. It's, yeah, one of the most complicated cars you could possibly ask to drive, and these guys are going to have a heck of a time learning what it's like to drive an F1 car.
That's exactly right. And at one of the most interesting Formula One circuits as well, Suzuka. Figure of 8 layout. This track's been around since the 60s, and it's one of the most legendary Asian racetracks in the world. Definitely an interesting one, especially through the S's, where it's all about that mechanical and aero grip working in unison. Well, in the practice session, Daniel Benefield has topped the timesheets in this one. Championship leader Josh Nowak in second place, and we may have some championship drama because Christopher Norton is not racing this round, so that may hand the championship to Nowak. So it's certainly going to shake things up a bit, Cam. We appear to have lost Cam, unfortunately. So joining me, Jay Kennedy. Jay, championship implications.
Yeah, 100%. I know that Christopher Norton's not feeling best, a bit under the weather this week, and probably the one car that you don't want to drive when you're not feeling 100%, because there is so much to master, so much to get a handle on. It is a tough one, and I know I wouldn't want to be trying to do this while you're crook. It would be a very, very tough thing to do.
Yeah, most certainly. It's a very difficult car to get the best out of. I mean, the LMP1 cars recently came out for iRacing, and they have some very advanced hybrid technology, ERS to manage. But these Formula One cars, these were the first to implement that kind of system in the iRacing simulator, and the amount of configuration you can do on these cars, you almost need a degree in engineering to understand just what does what on these cars and how to efficiently set them up for every individual circuit, almost every individual sector and corner. So a lot of drama potential out there for the guys. It's not all about your outright pace. It's about how you extract pace from the car as well.
Looks like Cam's mic's still not working. We were hoping that it was going to be working there, but you're exactly right. The really, really clever drivers understand every single intricacy in these setups, and the way you need to set up the cars is as you said, you really need a master's degree in engineering and everything else. It's so tough to understand what every single setting in the car does, and not many can master it to the perfect level as we get ready to get underway.
Yes, indeed. So 53 laps around this 18-turn Suzuka circuit. On pole, we have Daniel Benefield, Josh Nowak lining up. Also on the front row, Dean Moll and Dwayne Burns on row 2, with Aldis Puteklis and Shane Bowen in 5th and 6th. 7th place, Daniel Aitchison, Trevor Mack in 8th, Robert Northway in 9th. Rounding out the top 10, Thomas Knoll. Bit of a reduced grid here, only 17 cars taking to the start here. The rest of the field being Joseph Cardamone, Rory Boyd, Daniel Stevens, Trent Gosley, Martin Houston, John King, and Raul Alvarez.
One thing about the field though, Reece, all of our big name players are here except for Norton. Norton was on the grid. You'd say all of our championship contenders are here. Unfortunately, we don't have quite all of them. Doesn't mean we're not going to have a fantastic race though.
No, certainly not. That's 100% something to take in mind. Field size does not necessarily mean racing nous. But the lights are up. Noack rolling at the start there a bit. Probably wouldn't have gotten a jump start, but he has gotten a bit of a better start than Benefield, who has really spun his wheels off the grid, and that is going to allow Dean Mull. Oh my goodness! Daniel Benefield moving over on Dean Mull and instantly getting spat into the wall. I don't think he was aware of Mull being alongside.
Oh, another crash in the background.
Yeah, further back in the pack. Yeah, also Rory Boyd involved in that as well. Big start crash. Rory Boyd carrying some big damage, and Daniel Stevens having a lot of trouble getting back going there. So already quite a few dramas there on the first lap, but the rest of the field has managed to get themselves going nicely. Noack in the lead as they come into the Degner turns for the first time. Daniel Benefield has somehow managed to maintain third despite that start incident. Dean Mull spinning and getting into the wall. He's lost quite a few positions out of that one, so many drivers already finding that there's some serious dramas to contend with around the first lap here at Suzuka J.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't be surprised to see a large portion of the field into the pits this lap to use that spare car very, very early on, but Josh Noack, like he's done all season, just keeping it out of trouble. He's got himself a fairly decent margin on the first lap.
Yes, indeed. Oh, John King's just gone off. Yeah. There at Spoon. A little bit of contact, I think, with Trent Gosling on the run up to the corner, but they seem to have sorted themselves out there. It is on in the minor positions in the top 10. Trevor Mack just getting into the AstroTurf out of the 130R corner and getting into the wall as well. So I think that is going to be yet another car having to go for that spare machine. Now Joseph Cardamone and Daniel Aitchison battling down the front straight as we see cars going into the pits to take their repairs. Big.
One thing that these guys have got to manage too is DRS. We know have to be within that 1 second margin. Will be enabled from lap 3. So while you're not too bad to be tucked behind a car, come up another lap or next lap by, or the lap after I should say, be able to start using that DRS, maybe able to start making some bigger moves.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It'll also change the way drivers...
But big crash for Techless!
Oh, goodness me! That is huge! Also involved in that, Robert Northway. What on earth happened there? Northway actually went off by himself, so Protectless did something different.
Yeah, that actually looked like he did it on his own. It was just a matter of getting loose over the bump over the top of the rise.
Yeah, that's it. Dean Mull was an innocent bystander in all of that. He's now carrying some pretty heavy front-end damage, so the drivers not having much luck keeping it within the limits of these F1 cars, but up front, Josh Noack and Daniel Benefield, looks like that is going to be a battle that eventuates.
Definitely is.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go Cam.
Oh, I was just going to say, these two are going to go toe-to-toe. I'm pretty sure it's going to be these two going toe-to-toe for the entire race, and it's going to be pretty much one of these two winning this race because of the sheer pace that they've had.
In the pits.
Yeah,
so he did get a jump start race.
Yeah, evidently so. So that's going to be, I believe, a stop-and-go penalty.
Side by side down the front straight. Cardamone and also Aitchison. Aitchison through, but have a look also Robert Northway trying to get involved too.
Yeah, certainly. They're going very interestingly, these guys. Cardamone making his way up from position 11 with all of the dramas in the first couple of laps, and DRS is now enabled, so these guys are going to be able to get a bit of a jump down the straights. So you can already see, have a look at how much Northway struggles with front-end grip there through the S, has lost quite a bit of ground on Cardamone. And Thomas Knoll is starting to get on this as well. So this will be a 4-car battle.
We were saying before we come live that while the field was fairly small, the lap times in practice and also in qualifying very, very tight, which usually opens up to really close racing. Having the DRS and also ERS that you need to manage will mean that these guys are going to fight, probably change position quite a lot throughout this race, as Dean Mull is under pressure too.
Cardamone, oh no, big incident there. That's contact between Northway and Cardamone. Now Northway carrying damage as well.
Oh, in the background too.
In the background, Trent Gosling, my God, it doesn't stop.
Just proves that this car is so tough to drive. Sorry, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. Continuing on from that, tough to drive. Just it's that turbo lag that's the issue, and the fact that you don't have the wide tires that you normally do in something like a GT car or what you'd typically find in a current gen Formula One car. So it makes it extremely difficult. As I've also seen, I believe that is Aitchison have DRS down the front straight, but he didn't quite get the move done on Mole there.
Yeah, so now he's going to be stuck behind through the S's. Keep an eye on Aitchison. You can see when they go through these quick turns, the aero is working, and in the dirty air that Dean Mole's car is producing, Northway is just Aitchison, my apologies, is just unable to make those gains in the corners. He has to wait until the straights to try and make some kind of move. Through the turns, it's all about just staying in range and trying to lose as little pace as possible rather than try and gain any.
Must say, how cool is Dean Mole's livery, though? Continuing on with the Crayola theme. Kids are scanned in the livery again. Love it.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there. Always good to see that kind of refreshing paint job on the grid.
Martin Houston under pressure from Trent Gosley and Shane Bowen. This is going to be an interesting run coming into Spoon.
Yes, indeed. Gosley carrying a bit of front-end damage, and he's just unable to get that run, but he's pulling out, trying to go for the move there into Spoon, and a little bit of contact. Oh, that is not on, I don't think. Gosley just was not able to get by cleanly there, I think.
Yeah, he had a decent look up the inside there, which seemed to pay off. It didn't look like there was contact at all, but it just caught Houston off guard a little bit. Now
there was definitely contact, I could see.
Contact! And Houston's gone around now.
There we go. Again, Martin Houston just staying still. Flick it around and away he goes, but he will lose a couple of positions from that.
One thing these guys have got to start to think about too is that there's no refueling in the car, so you don't want to be using too much fuel as well. So fuel management, ERS management, DRS management, everything's starting to come into factor, and these little mistakes really start to cost guys not only in the lost time that they have from spinning, but also in the way that they manage their fuel and manage their race.
That's exactly right. It's not all about completely flat out in between pit stops like it used to be in the last decade. Now there's so much that you need to keep track of in these cars, and so much finite resources that you have to manage. It really is mostly just as much about resource management as it is about driving. Benefield currently enjoying an over 6-second lead at the moment from Dwayne Burns, who's made his way up into second. Dean Mole and Daniel Aitchison still very close at the moment for third and fourth place.
Yeah, those two not too far apart, but that battle just behind them for fifth position is actually growing quite closely. Now Aitchison is going to be within DRS range, I believe. Yes, he is, because he's got the light on his dash for DRS, so he will deploy at this lap, and it's not quite going to be close enough for it to take advantage and get past done, though.
Yeah, that's right. Not much of a straight line speed advantage. I could see Mole gaining down the straight as well, so obviously the guys are going to have to take care. Just inch away, one bit at a time over the laps.
I've also had an incident with Rory Boyd as well, guys. Just going to try and get a replay up on screen to work out what's happened. I did see him stopped on the circuit. He's now back in the pits. We'll try and pick up and see what's happened to that car.
Yes, indeed. Looks like it was on the run up to Spoon. Yeah, goodness me. Goodness.
Obviously some suspension damage from that, hitting that wall, so decided safer to get back to the pits than to try and limp it home.
Yes, indeed. We've seen a few guys trying to do that.
Oh, Gosley around.
Oh,
and
no.
Bowen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Digners.
Yeah, and Trent Gosley.
Oh, that car doesn't look good.
Oh, yeah. Steering's almost 180 degrees to the right there. Trent Gosley, that car is basically undrivable. He's having to turn it all the way to the left to keep it straight.
Yeah, he actually had some contact with the wall as well, just up before that, before gassing it up and ending up the wall even more. So that's a huge amount of damage, and he's going to try and get it back but that's going to be a real challenge.
Can he get it around the hairpin is the thing. It looks like, yeah, there's so much suspension damage on that thing, and the left is so down. He's just unable to get around these turns on what is predominantly a left-handed sector of the circuit. So very unfortunate for Trent there.
Yeah, absolutely. He was actually not going too bad, but those just minor mistakes that guys are getting caught out by, just tyre wear and that sort of stuff, is really impacting a lot of them.
Yeah, certainly is. Well, Daniel Aitchison and Dean Moll still going at it. I'm noticing Aitchison actually has drawn up to the back of Moll slightly, but you can see Moll is just... Oh, what?
Benefield's lost the lead.
Oh, he has. He has too. Dwayne Burns now leading. What happened?
Oh, he's had a spin at the top of the rise out of the end. On his own as well.
So there we go. Even the guys at the top of the field getting caught out by this car right now. So Dwayne Burns is now your race leader, but Benefield is back on the charge right now. We could be seeing a pass in the very near future.
That was uncharacteristic too.
Yeah, it actually was, because that actually isn't too far into a stint, so the tyres aren't too bad of condition.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The tyres don't go off that quickly in these cars, so you still got to take it nice and easy, but we'll see. We'll see. Benefield is going to have DRS here. Have a look at the run he's got. He's going to be by before turn 1 at this rate. Oh,
maybe
no.
not.
No, certainly not. But Dwayne Burns letting him go there. So Benefield back in the race lead. Bit of a scare for the 34.
Tell you what, it's another really interesting battle pack starting to form as well. 5th, 6th, 7th, all close together. Cardamo, Northway and Knoll. These three guys are very, very close and very, very evenly matched on pace.
Yeah, certainly are. Cardamo's last lap, 37.478. Northway a 37.7. Thomas Knoll a 37.6. So, as you said, Jay, these guys are all quite close. Northway just struggling a little bit with rear grip there. Almost had a spin. Cardamone, it seems, is... Whoa, hang on a minute.
Throw.
Yeah. Not getting caught out by Degner there. But it seems like Cardamone has the measure of these guys right now.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and Northway's actually doing quite a good job at keeping up with Cardamone at the moment as well, so this is going to definitely be a pack to keep an eye on, that's for sure.
Yes, as long as he stays in that 1 second gap, he's well and truly still in as he just runs off the track though too. It's going to be interesting to see if he can maintain that 1 second gap. If he does, he's not out of it. Of course, pit stop's probably not too far away as well, probably lap 18 or so, Cam?
Yeah, that would roughly be about right. 17 to 18 laps, depending on what you want to go for, whether you want to go for an undercut or an overcut, depending. So it's going to be roughly 17 lap to 20 lap stints, depending on what guys want to do as far as looking after their tyres. So we'll see what happens. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Going for that move there on Dean Moll into turn 1.
Done.
Yeah. Well and truly done. Nicely done from Daniel Aitchison.
And Northway.
Oh, yeah, true. Oh, dear. Oh, there we go. Joseph Cardamone. Looks like he just got back on the throttle. He was still coming off the marbles, so the car obviously did not agree with his preferred direction of events. So that is yet another car with massive front-end damage. Cardamone now has Josh Nowak to contend with, who is continuing to make his way through the field. Nowak has to get a good result here in order to keep his championship lead with a nice cushion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty much, while it's not mandatory, it will help him in the championship, that's for sure. The bigger the gap he can have to Norton, the better off he's going to be, as I've just seen Robert Northway run a little bit wide through Spring Curve.
Yes, indeed, but he still manages to maintain a nice gap over Thomas Knoll.
Another thing with that too, in regards to the championship, only 2 rounds left, and again, polar opposite of this one, so taking advantage of this sort of circuit this sort of event could play key into him sealing the championship with only those 2 races left to go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, Nowak continuing to run a nice, consistent race right now, apart from his jumping the start penalty, and Daniel Benefield, by this point, has left Dwayne Burns far behind.
Almost around at turn 1.
Oh, yeah.
Aitchison just lost the spot as well.
Goodness me, it's all happening at once at the moment.
I spun it actually out of turn 1.
Oh, Noel's gone as well.
Oh, dear.
This is going to be a race of absolute attrition. Guys that can hold on to their cars and actually bring it home in one piece are going to get great results.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, I think I'm noticing a bit of a pattern here, and it's just drivers pushing too hard. You know, they end up getting a little bit of a slide on the exit of a corner and trying to keep the foot in, trying to hold it, but really the best course of action is to underdrive this car in order to get the best results out of it. At least you're not going to end up in the wall.
Well, it's a sort of car that you gain confidence, but that's not necessarily a good thing. I've just seen Daniel Aitchison actually is out of the race too. He's just gone back to the pits. So he's had another incident on this lap. We'll see if we can pick up a replay.
Yes, indeed. Obviously not what you want at this stage. Aitchison, he was running very well there in 3rd place, but yeah, big front end damage to that car. Looks, yeah, just out of the hairpin. Oof.
That's a very strange spot to lose the car as well, because it's not particularly bumpy there either.
I think, like, you got to remember these cars, at least this spec of car that we have from 2016, it's not like the Formula 1 cars we have in 2018. There's a bit less downforce at the driver's disposal in the 2016 cars. So I think the drivers might just be thinking that they've got more downforce at the rear than they actually have.
Yeah, I think you're actually right there, and it's one of the weird quirks about this car is you look at it and go, oh, it's a Formula 1 car, it's got plenty of grip, it's got plenty of downforce, I can drive this thing like it's on rails. Not quite the case, not with this car anyway.
Certainly not.
This was probably the one spec that didn't have that as well, wasn't it? The 2016 spec was where they took a lot of that downforce away, they under-tired the car as well. They've brought a little bit of that back to make the cars faster again, but the 2016 specs were that the come down to a lot more driver talent and resource management, as you said, than what we have now and what we had previous to this car.
Yeah, that's it. Aitchison is back in his car, by the way. He's just moved the steering wheel a few times, I think, just checking to see if the car's okay, if the car's repaired, so this might not be the last we see of him.
Fingers crossed he can get back out there. Thomas Knoll is under pressure from Josh Nowak. Nowak is on a charge. 2nd fastest car out on track at the moment. Daniel Benefield, the only car faster. Current pace that Nowak has, he might be able to get back to a podium.
Yeah, looks like it, especially if we see the same rate of mistakes being made from other drivers as we've seen throughout this race. Nowak bearing down on the back of Thomas Knoll right now as they come through the 200R corner, a place where a lot of drivers have lost the rear end. Knoll just grabbing the grass slightly on entry.
Oh, no!
Oh, that's going to be the wall.
Oh, yeah. How did he miss
it out of it?
Ouch.
How did he miss the wall?
Oh, wow. Extremely lucky, and I just realized I was on a replay that entire time. I'm very sorry, guys. I was looking at entirely the wrong thing. But Nowak, one more position for him. Next up is Robert Northway, currently making his way up to the hairpin. So Nowak has a bit of time to make up there, but we'll see what he can do.
Well, last lap he was 3.2 seconds quicker than Northway, so means he's only going to be on the rear within 3 laps at the current pace he's got. Very, very good pace that Nowak has. Very, very similar pace to Dane Burns in 2nd, but no one's able to match Benefield at the moment. But you can't discount anything in this race. We've already seen, I think, almost every driver in the field make at least one mistake so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Everybody's made a mistake, and one thing to point about this battle between Northway and Nowak is Northway actually seems to be struggling on his tyres a little bit. As did see him a few laps ago nearly put it in the wall where Aitchison did. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Love that run down the front straight. 323 kilometres Northway. Big slide coming into turn 2.
Yeah, huge. And that turn 1-2 complex at Suzuka is definitely one of those sets of turns that gets the heart racing, even in a downforce car, because you brake before turn 1 in quite a few cars, but in a Formula 1 car, it's flat out right to the apex of turn 1, and then you're just braking for turn 2 as you go through that section between the two turns. So it's a very hard corner to get right and very easy to get off into the runoff area there.
Oh, another lock-up for Northway. He's definitely struggling with front-end grip by the looks of it.
Yeah, definitely seems that way. He's rapidly losing ground to Dean Moll up ahead. And Josh Nowak may have some traffic to contend with because Daniel Aitchison just behind Robert Northway there. He's actually all the way back down in 13th place, a lap down. So he's on a bit of a recovery drive himself right now.
Other battle pack starting to form as well between John King and Martin Houston. Houston starting to close up. He was not that far behind. He's having a few technical issues, but he was starting to close that gap up over the last little bit. But King now starting to pull away as Houston has a few more technical glitches.
Yeah, definitely. That's not optimal for Houston, but King, his main rival at the moment, it seems, aside from Houston,
Northway in the
is
pits.
Shane Bowen. Yes, Northway in the pits. So taking
That's
an
quite early,
first
actually.
stop. Yeah.
So we'd be looking for a 3-stopper possibly, because you have to do 2 20-lap stints from here to get it home. So it'd be a tough ask. You're probably more likely to see him do 3 stops.
Unless he stretches the last stint long or this middle stint long. So we'll see what happens, but that tyre advantage is definitely going to help him at the current state with everybody's warm tyres.
Well, Northway out of the pits now, and Josh Nowak continuing to make his way up as a result.
Nowak now 15 seconds behind Dean Moll as he has a little bit of a lock-up at the hairpin, and current pace probably not quite going to be able to get onto the rear of Dean Moll all that quick, but of course pit stop's not too far away, and how easy it is to make a mistake. Any of these top 5 guys are well and truly in with a shot here.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
And looks like Aitchison's actually got some decent pace at the moment because he's actually pretty much matching and slightly quicker than Nowak at the moment. So this will be interesting.
Fastest car on track at the moment actually is Daniel Aitchison.
Yeah.
Wow, so he is well and truly on a charge to try and recover some kind of result from this race. You know, thinking about that, maybe him being put down a lap and out of contention has helped him in a way, because when you're in a good running in a race, the pressure can very easily get to you and you can see a mistake. Maybe that's what happened to Aitchison. Now that he's basically got nothing to lose, he's able to get a bit more pace out of that car. Oh, he is too. Okay.
Right.
So
and Nowak's lost the spot too.
Oh no. Right. Oh, Nowak had a spin at turn 2. He just, wow, big slide through turn 1. Did he get into the wall? Oh, I think he just managed to touch the wall at his rear end.
Then he had a secondary spin when trying to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again...
Sorry, Reese, you going?
Yeah, no worries, Cam. Yeah, that's... I honestly don't know what to say to this at the moment. Oh! Did you guys see that? Raul Alvarez right across the entry of the hairpin.
Oh, yeah, just locked the rears, actually, and that was actually very close to taking out Shane Bowen in the process, so very lucky there.
Oh, goodness me, and Alvarez still trying to get going here. Very, very slow. up the side of the track.
Oh, here we go, guys. Noak for a move on Noel, who's just got by actually very well.
Yes, indeed. So, Noak pushing a little bit into the chicane there.
Noel's got DRS though, so he might be able to come back here.
We'll see. He has got a bit of front end damage, so I don't know how much that's going to help him. Actually, not gaining all that much on Noak. Weaving in a straight line. Manages to stay ahead for now. Meanwhile, Shane Bowen right behind these guys. He could stand to gain from this. Because Bowen actually was 1.4 seconds faster than Noel last time around.
Yeah, so that's going to make things very interesting, actually.
Bowen's been one of the drivers throughout this series that's just kept the car clean, kept it out of trouble, doesn't get involved in anyone else's fights, has just seen Joseph Cardamone back into the wall. Turn 2's catching everyone out, some in entry, some mid-corner and some in exit, but turn 2 is the action corner at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way, right at the start of the lap.
A few guys probably getting caught out, just trying to take a little bit of a breather and maybe missing their braking points or just overdriving the car, maybe seeing their time come up on the dash and thinking, well, I've got to go a little bit quicker and just braking a little bit too late as Benefield is in the pits.
Yes, indeed. So he's going to make his way through for his first pit stop on lap 17. He's just come across the line to start that.
1/3 race distance, as we sort of suspected. 2-stop strategy, pit, third each stop, and pretty much on the right strategy. 4-second stop. Love how quick the pit stops are in these cars, though.
Yeah, certainly. It really, it's really brought back those super quick pit stops, that banning of refueling after the 2009 season. It's really resulted in some ultra-quick tyre stops, especially in real life. You see teams working to get their pit stops under 2 seconds, which is a bit insane when you think about it. A little bit more of a sedate pace in the sim, but still, it's really quick.
Even 4 seconds feels really quick, doesn't it, for a pit stop? Especially with what we're used to seeing in, say, the V8 or in the GTE cars or GT3 cars. You see a 4-second pit stop come up, it feels a little bit weird.
Yeah, certainly, and you would never see it in NASCAR with the multiple lug nuts on the wheels and having to work on one wheel at a time. Formula 1 pit stops, in comparison, it's like that, click of the finger.
We have 4 cars yet to pit. One of them is our race leader at the moment, Dane Burns, and it looks like he will continue on for another lap. Maybe going to go for a 1-stop.
Well, that's certainly a viable strategy, especially if you can keep it clean and out of the wall. Look after those tyres, make sure that you've still got something in them to fight near to the end of your stints. And looking at Burns' driving, he is not pushing anywhere near as much as I've seen other drivers do in this race. So very sedate and controlled pace right now from Burns.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what a lot of guys probably should be doing, is just driving their own race, driving to their own pace, not overdriving the car, not pushing too hard as he just runs a little bit too wide there in the Digna section, but he's just doing his own thing, and that's what he's been doing actually all season, is just driving his own race and picking up the points and making up for other people's mistakes, which is really, really good to see.
Thomas Knoll trying to get past Martin Houston, so trying to use these new tyres as he's just come out of the pits. Houston's still with those tech issues and he's jumped into the lane. But Knoll's going to have DRS with no one in front of him. That's always a good start. Always a good thing to have.
Certainly is. Passing Shane Bowen, who's coming out of the pits.
Yeah, that's actually really close between these guys here, and this will be an interesting battle.
Yes, indeed. Noak just into the pits as well, and it seems like his pit stop was pretty long.
Yeah, I think
he got to stop and hold.
The second penalty for the race for Noak.
Yeah, definitely don't expect the car to be stationary for that long in these circumstances. So Noak obviously having a bit of trouble with the pit speed.
See, Trevor Mack tried to make a move into turn 1 on John King. Both these guys have just come out of the pits. Mack had DRS engaged, but wasn't able to quite make the move. These boys are pushing with these new tyres.
Yeah, definitely are. Once you've got that extra grip in hand, it's easy to try and push the limits a little bit more of what your car can do. So Mac and King, one of the closer battles on track right now, and as they go through Degner's, you can see they're pretty evenly matched in this section of the circuit.
Everyone has completed their stops too, with Burns coming into the pits, and Benefield has just done the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, so definitely on a charge there. 35.326 from Daniel Benefield, and you can tell he wants this race victory.
Oh, Trevor Mack just missed his braking point, almost ran into the rear. King had to lock it up.
Oh,
that was close.
Oh, very close.
Extremely. Just catching the grass once again. And you know, to some looking in from the outside, you might wonder why the drivers are having so much trouble placing their cars on the entry of corners. It's like, oh, you can see the wheels, you should know where to place your car. But you got to remember, when you're actually sitting inside a Formula One cockpit, you can barely see anything. You're sitting so low in the car, and the steering wheel covering most of your field of view. So it's very hard to make sure that you've got the line right on corner entry. You almost have to spend a lot of time getting used to the car, making sure that you know where the limits are, and keeping that spatial awareness up.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the confines that it is, because of how little field of view you have as far as what you can and can't see. It really does make it difficult. And if you're actually on single screen, it probably actually makes it a little bit difficult, because you can't actually see the mirrors because of where the position's so high up.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Benefield's just beaten his fastest lap of the race.
Oh,
better by a tenth, so he's well and truly on a charge. Is expected though with new tyres, no refueling, so as the fuel load does drop off, the times should get quicker as the race progresses, and we should see the fastest lap of the race very late in the final stint.
Yeah, certainly should. So Benefield is on lap 20 right now. So we're almost at half race distance. We should get to that at halfway around lap 26.
Race is going by pretty quick. We're only about 23, 24 minutes in, or 30 minutes in, I should say. It's
yeah,
20 laps in, over a third race distance. This race will go by very, very quickly. We were saying earlier that it's probably going to be our shortest road race of the year. The previous one was the British Classic Grand Prix, but this one will fly by really, really quickly, only 300 k's in length.
Yeah, certainly. You got to remember, there isn't live race control for this, so the safety car is not going to come out for incidents, so that definitely means that the race is going to go by much more quickly. If this race was timed, it would be a different story, because the length would be set in stone. But when you have these distance-based races, that really makes a difference.
Benefield's just done another lap record, 34.9 now. It's into the 34s.
Okay. So, and that equals his fastest lap time, actually beats his fastest time from practice. So Benefield, absolutely stonking pace right now. Seems like no one is able to match him.
And Noak's the only one that's close in regards to pace, but even his best lap time, which he just did his fastest lap, did Noak, but still, it's that 0.6 of a second off that lap of Benefield.
Yeah, that's it. Noak completing his lap 20. We'll see what the lap time is this time around. That's going to be a 35.8, so a little bit slower. So in this middle of the race, or I guess we've gotten over the craziness of the opening laps.
Oh, Noak around. Oh, just held on. Held on, just.
Just as I was saying that. Of course.
You ruined it.
It's just our luck, eh? Always happens.
We sort of had a feeling that this is how the race was going to go tonight too. We knew that the guys were fairly evenly matched in pace. But it's just that extra tenth that everyone's trying to get. And they're all pushing way too hard. Noak's feeling a bit of pressure. He's probably understanding the championship implications of him being back where he is. Dane Burns, he'll be really happy to get a bit of a point advantage back on Nowak. So just see Cardamone in the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Huge crash.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, how did that happen? He just lost it through the second Degner. Oh, he just got up on the curb and over that slippery green curbing. And that just sent him right in there. Goodness me. Heavy hit.
Yeah, very, very easy to do.
That might be Cardamone done too because he's already used his spare car.
Yeah, that's a real shame. Hopefully he does stick with it and get back out there. Daniel Aitchison, meanwhile, I think made his way past Martin Houston. He is back on the lead lap, is Aitchison, so it's entirely possible he could continue climbing up the field. He's just behind Rory Boyd, who is still a lap down. Boyd just letting him go there. So Aitchison's next target is the battling pair of Trevor Mack and John King, and they are very close, actually. Mack is going to have DRS here, and he blasts past John King, who tries to protect the inside, but there's nothing that he could do in a straight line, so Mack goes by into turn one.
Another incident for Raul Alvarez too, is he's tried to get in the pit lane. Has he been trying to get in the pit lane, or has he just slid it into the pit lane? That's strange.
No, he's actually lost it, and he's pretty much ended up in the pit entry.
Yeah, seems that way. Just got caught out over the crest that the track goes over in that last turn. So Alvarez having a very bad race here. He did start dead last, but he still remains in 14th place in the standings, of course. We have 3 retirees from this race. Trent Gosley, Daniel Stevens, and Aldis Puteklis. So Alvarez continuing to plug away out there. Good on him, I say.
We love people that just keep pushing on to the end, don't we, Reese?
Yeah, we certainly do. And often, you know, anything can happen in a race like this with, you know, as much craziness has gone on in the first few laps. So Alvarez could definitely make some gains in the second half if things don't go others' way.
What's interesting at the moment, there's a battle going on between Thomas Knoll and Shane Bowen. These guys are pretty much matching lap times every single lap. Last lap around was 37.0, 37.1, so almost identical. Lap previous was 36.5 for each of them, so these guys are pretty much maintaining that gap around about 1.5 seconds. If Bowen can find a tiny little bit, get him up to that 1 second, he'll then have DRS and then it will be on then.
Yeah, certainly will. And that's interesting to see how well matched these guys are. Knoll, just running a little bit wide through the hairpin. Don't want to get onto the marbles too much there, Thomas. So that may give a bit of an advantage to Bowen.
Looks like on the live gap as well, there may have been a mistake from Bowen earlier in the lap, and that's put them back to about even pace again from what they were at the start of the lap.
Oh,
about 1.6 at the moment. Bowen. Yeah, disappointing for him, but if he's knowing that his opponent's making mistakes, even if he is as well, that'll give him a little bit of encouragement. But Bowen, as we've said, he doesn't always push too hard. He just plays it really, really sensible.
He certainly does. Trevor Mack and John King, meanwhile, Mack has just blasted away from John King. Had a really good gap there. I think King either may have pitted or made a really big mistake because he's almost falling into the clutches of Aitchison.
He's 8 seconds off the pace last lap, so there's obviously some sort of mistake.
He went to the wall at the hairpin on the last lap.
Just locked the rears.
So that explains that. Didn't actually seem like too hard of a hit, so he's managed to get away with it. He's let Daniel Benefield by, who remains the race leader, and now Daniel Aitchison now bearing on the back of John King. So Aitchison, I think, with one of the recovery drives of the race right now. But look at the pace he's got out of the last turn. He's going to have DRS on King. Oh, goodness me. King going very defensive there, but he lets him go in the end. So that means King moves into 10th place. Daniel Aitchison now in the top 9 after seeming like his race was over before.
And have a look at Shane Bowen. Have a look at how close he's got it. He's half a second now. This is on.
It certainly is. So Bowen's going to have DRS down the front straight. Noel had better watch out here. They've got quite the gap to Dean Moll, who's just coming into turn 1 at the moment. So these guys are well and truly alone on track right now. So as they make their way through the chicane, what can Shane Bowen do here? He's just losing a bit of ground on the exit of the chicane, but he does have the DRS open now. It just seems he is not able to gain as much in a straight line as he'd probably want.
I think the exit onto the front straight might have compromised him a little bit as well.
If he can just draw even with Noel, he'd be able to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fairly close as far as lap time goes as well between these two. So they're not going to try and get away from each other fairly quickly at the rate they're going.
Yeah, that's right. There's every chance that Noel could try and get one back on Bowen and the battle could continue.
It could also come down to the way that these guys have got the car set up in regards to downforce and things like that. Bowen might not have his car set up quite the same. Maybe having it a little bit more for cornering as opposed to that straight line speed. Just can't get the run out of the chicane to use that DRS as Rory Boyd is stopped out on the circuit at pit entry.
Oh yes, so Boyd actually has gone back into his garage spot now, and that looked like a really
pretty much the same
one.
thing as Raul Alvera's.
Yeah, that was a very weird snap. It's like the car just suddenly decided to completely let go.
Wow.
That was a pretty heavy hit into the pit wall as well. So it looks like with Rory Boyd now out of that car, it makes him the 5th retirement from this race.
Oh, Bowen!
Bowen!
Oh!
He was just trying to get on the power early to get that run,
Oh,
and it's cost him.
oh my goodness. Well, that's that battle over for some time. Real shame there. We could have seen a pass, but oh man, you really have to pay attention to how you set the differential up in these cars, because one little slide on the exit of a corner can make all the difference.
He's got to be careful now too with the tyres that he doesn't overdrive the car trying to catch back up. That's the I think the first mistake we've seen from Bowen, and now pretty much means everyone in the field has made a mistake at some point.
That's it. Daniel Benefield continuing to set very fast lap times up the
Bowen
front.
again.
Oh, yes.
Just kept it on the circuit.
Yeah, I think that's messed with his rhythm, that incident. He's got those rear tyres that are dealing with quite a bit of heat now. He's just got to get them cooled back down. Tell you what, actually has not lost that much ground to Noel.
Noel's made a mistake.
Made a mistake too. Yeah, he did.
Digners.
Yeah,
almost
half
ended up on the
spin.
wall.
Wow.
Got a replay of that as well. We've only got 13 runners left.
It was a very Cardamone-esque incident there from Noel, but he managed to keep it out of the wall that time, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. He did very, very well to actually not end up in the walls. Very lucky that he might have ended in it, but and Benefield's actually gone off at the hairpin.
Oh, what? Oh, he's managed to keep going, though. Oh, that looked like just a mid-corner spin for Benefield.
And that's just from pushing too hard. He's just been
another mistake.
Really pushing too hard in these last few laps, and he's probably cooked his tyres a little bit. So really needs to be careful here not to put himself in the wall, especially with the gap that he's got.
Yeah, well, I mean, Benefield has a very good gap right now. He is not in danger of losing the race lead at all. It wouldn't make sense for him to be pushing that hard. So I think he just needs to dial it back slightly.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing, is he almost loses the rear again. Just calm down, Benefield. You don't need to push it this hard.
Halfway through the race now too.
Yeah, he's probably going for the fastest lap. Who knows?
You're trying to break it on every lap. You can't do it when your tyres are too worn out though.
No, certainly not. And we wouldn't expect him back into the pits until at least, I'd say, the mid-30s in terms of laps.
Another safe 7 or 8 laps before he'll come in, but Bowen's starting to close that gap back down to that magic 1.5 seconds we saw earlier. Didn't take long for it to get back down.
No, certainly didn't. But it looks to me like, yeah, Bowen with his other mistakes, as he's really on the back foot in terms of this battle. It seems that Noel in the last few laps has been the one to make the least mistakes.
Tell you what, Josh Noak's starting to catch up on these guys as well.
Yeah, he is. Raul Alvarez.
Oh, Trevor Mack!
There. Oh,
wow! He was just his car was pointing straight up in the air.
Oh, dearie me!
Oh, that's huge!
Wow, massive! What on earth went on there? He just lost it through the turn, running up to Spoon. Once he was in the grass, he could not stop. Wow.
Yeah,
that's a strange incident there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one way to get your car turned 180 degrees. Just flip the thing over.
It's how to get it rotated, just not the way you'd expect.
No, certainly not. I mean, I guess it benefited him in a way. He was able to get going a little bit quicker. But that's definitely going to be a trip into the pits for Mack.
Northway's also in, just getting another set of tyres and back out again.
Yeah, now Northway, I'm very curious to know why he made those 2 stops in succession.
I think he's on I reckon he's had a pit lane penalty on that second stop, or maybe was wanting to make an adjustment in regards to tyre pressure and had to come back in. Now made another one. He'll make one more stop and do it as a normal 3-stopper, but it will be 4 stops for him. That's my thinking.
Well, yeah, and I'd be inclined to agree with you there. But that's another thing that we haven't really talked about, is how important tyre pressure is in these cars. I mean, these cars are already operating at such a high level, and everything has to be perfect to get the best out of them, depending on the track, the conditions, etc. And tyre pressure is one of those things that even if it's just 1 click off, 1 kilopascal off, it can easily make the difference between a car that's beautiful to drive and a car that tries to spin at every corner.
Yeah, and the difference in tyre pressures on this car is so minuscule. This car's probably the only one in iRacing, apart from the old Williams FW31, that has the ability to adjust tyre pressures by 0.1 increments. So the ability to adjust your tyre pressures by such minimal amounts is incredible, and it makes that huge of a difference even at that sort of level.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, Daniel Aitchison continuing to make his way through the field. He's now gotten himself up to 7th. Yes, very good recovery from him. And a little bit of insider information.
Oh, Aitchison around!
Oh, Northway having to take avoiding action. Yeah, sorry, Cam. We kind of both said the same thing there.
You both read each other's minds there. It is rather cute that you boys are finishing each other's sentences like that, though.
I don't know if cute is the word I'd describe it. But a little bit of insider information. Corey Ott pointed out that it's 29 seconds from pit entry to pit exit, so he's raised the possibility that Benefield might get a free stop if he tries to get the gap out to 29 seconds.
Here comes Bowen with DRS engaged in the front straight. Gonna have to go the long way around through turn 1 though.
Oh, what can happen?
Yeah, just having to yield. So Noel continuing to
come back.
Here. Yeah, this is a good battle right now. This is the kind of racing that we want to see.
And have a look at how close Nowak is in the background too. You can see that pink car slowly creeping up.
Yeah, you definitely can. You can see Bowen as well, continuing to lose pace through the corners with that lack of front end grip, that dirty air. Really not helping his front wing with its many elements. And now these cars are almost equidistant from each other, so we'll see what Nowak can do here. Obviously, he'll be aware that these guys are battling, and neither of them are his teammates, so he'll have to really work for this one. As have a look at the run that Bowen has got up to Spoon. Oh no! Oh. Spinning Almost contact.
Oh, he's almost taken.
Oh, that was so close. Did you see that? Noack missed him by mere millimeters.
Now Noack's got to run on Bowen, and he's going to go up the inside. Bowen's going to let him by, but Noack won't have DRS because Bowen's going to have it when they come into the detection zone now.
Yeah, that's it. So can Noack get a good exit out of this turn? I would suspect he would. Have a look at that. Bowen, once again, struggling with the exit from the chicane. He'll be able to stay somewhat with Noack here, I feel. That could really help him if he's just able to tuck in behind Noack and maybe save a bit of fuel, make sure that that he can stay up in the field, because he's currently running in 5th place. He would want to preserve that.
It's a gap at the front now, 21.5 seconds between Benefield and Burns. Dean Mole starting to catch onto the rear of Dwayne Burns as well. Dean Mole last lap round was a little bit quicker. Gap staying around that 4 to 5 second bracket. Noack though, the gap between Mole and Noack, 41 seconds. That's huge.
Oh, yeah. My goodness, that is insane.
6 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah. That just goes to show it's very easy to get put down a far way in these cars. 37.25 from Burns, but Dean Mole 36.7. So Mole on a charge right now. Burns, I was watching him just before and I noticed he actually had to get out of the throttle on the exit of the last turn. So obviously car acting a little bit wayward. So Mole on the charge.
Bear in mind, most of these guys will be on older tyres now, how far they are into their second stint, so shouldn't be too many laps away from seeing more pit stops, actually.
21 and a half laps to go, so probably another 3 or 4 laps before we'll start seeing pit stops. Bowen's doing a great job sticking with Noack.
Yeah, he is. That's quite good to see, because I think the main thing that Bowen has been struggling with is trying to stay within that gap. You know, we saw it with Noel. You know, both of them were making mistakes, but now that Noack, one of the most mistake-free drivers in the field, I would say, at least out on track, we'll gloss over his pit problems. But having Bowen follow him, I think, is benefiting Bowen, because he's able to see those consistent lines and those nice ways of taking these corners. So Bowen in with a good shout here.
Yeah, Bowen's looking pretty good, pretty strong. He's very, very consistent. He might not have the outright pace that we've seen from a lot of other drivers in the field, but he's very, very consistent.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And at the end of the day, in a race where, you know, it's been so much of a race of attrition, being consistent is about the best you can be.
Love the run over the overpass. Getting 320 k's per hour as you're coming into 130R. It's pretty incredible pace that you get down what is a fairly short straight.
Yeah, that's it. It helps that the entry to it is such a fast corner in terms of spoon. It's right on the verge of being a proper fast corner. The circuit in general, it's all about momentum here. You know, a lot of Formula One circuits are known for being very stop-start affairs with hairpins and chicanes and plenty of runoff, but Suzuka is the complete antithesis of some of the more modern tracks we've seen in the last 15 years.
Benefield. Something's happened to Benefield. He's lost about 10 seconds. Here we go. It's at Spoon. Something's happened at Spoon for Benefield.
Oh, he spun it.
Another spin. Yeah, right.
Oh, he spun it on the entry, so he hasn't even got to the corner yet, so that's a big off.
Very big off. It
Just
looks
hit
like,
the curb and the corner approaching.
Yeah, it looks like it. He actually seems like he started losing it before that point, and the curb just exacerbated it.
Lucky he had that decent lead.
Yes.
Oh, King around at the chicane. He's cutting the course to get it back out on the circuit. See if we can pick up what's happened to John King.
or a little bit too hot on under brakes, and he's just locked the rears, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what.
Easy one to do, that one.
Yeah, go on, Cam.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the interesting thing about this car is that with the fact that you have ERS, you tend to run your brake bias quite far back just so it regens as much as possible, and that brake bias on old tyres doesn't probably help, and is just causing you to lock the rears quite a bit easier and just causing those sort of spins that we're seeing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's another thing that is worth pointing out, the way these cars are set up. The energy recovery system doesn't just deploy at the rear wheels, it also harvests. So that when you see the lights flashing on the back of cars coming into the braking zones, that's the signal that they're harvesting energy to deploy in other places around the lap. So King obviously running afoul of the way the car needs to be set up to make that stuff happen.
Benefield is in the pits to make his final stop with 19 laps to go.
So this should be a fairly regular final stint for Benefield. Very quick stop there.
3.9 second stop.
Wow. Just in and out.
John King and Daniel Aitchison have both come together out on the circuit.
Oh.
King actually is in the pits though.
Yeah, looks like it. So it looks like it was a fairly clean pass there from Aitchison on King. King went wide out of spoon. Aitchison got a really good exit. So no harm, no foul from those guys.
Aitchison actually has come in and made his final stop about 4 laps ago as well. So Aitchison now is tied up to the end of the race. He's going to have to do 22 laps on the final stint though. Going to be a little bit of a tough ask by the end. But be interesting to see how he goes at the end of this stint as well. It's really, really tough to go over 20 laps in these cars on this circuit.
Yeah, it definitely is. So Aitchison obviously going for that full recovery drive strategy with that long final stint. He's just going to try and get as much time that he can out of those tyres. So, as you said, Jay, it is difficult to do it around a track like this, but we've seen Aitchison achieve quite a bit in this race, so I wouldn't put it past him to do that too.
Burns continues on for another lap, but Dean Mole does come into the pits.
Yep, so we're seeing, I think, Burns going for a long middle stint as he makes a mistake in the first couple of turns. Just running through the gravel trap. But I get the feeling that he'll leave his last stop, Burns, very late so that he has those nice fresh tyres to attack right at the end. Unfortunately, with that mistake, I don't know if it'd be worth pursuing that.
Yeah, I think he's probably better off coming in on this lap. But one thing I do actually want to point out is the lap time difference between Noack and Mole. Mole's currently 3rd effective while Noack is 4th, and the difference is, depending on the lap, a couple of seconds to a couple of tenths, so it'll be something we're going to have to keep an eye on, and might see Noack move into a podium at the end of this race.
As long as he doesn't get another penalty when he comes in for his pit stop, he might be able to do that.
Yeah, very true.
Couldn't end up with 3 black flags in one race, could he?
No, I've definitely seen worse.
Daniel Aitchison's got a tough time at the moment trying to get past Martin Houston, who's still got his tech issues. Houston does move out of the way, so another pass made. Aitchison back into 8th.
So he's almost at his starting position, which would be a fine recovery.
He's absolutely over the moon with the recovery if he can get himself up to say a top 6 or even a top 5. If you can do that, fantastic drive from him. Dane Burns in the pits, so that's at the front of our field cleanse. Bowen is the now the lead car yet to make a stop. Have a look at the lap time Benefield's just done though.
Oh goodness me, almost in the 33s. That is insane pace. Using the low fuel and fresh tyres to full advantage right there. And Burns is still stationary in the pits. Obviously getting some damage repair or something.
Oh, no, it's got a meatball.
Or even a penalty. Who? Mole?
Nick Nowak.
Oh no, Josh
he's
Nowak.
a big moment at Digners.
Oh my goodness. Wow, okay, that's a big change. So Nowak, once again, he did the same thing that Cardamo did, smashing right into the wall there.
Wow, championship changing that.
Oh, so the fight is not over, it would seem.
This championship is going to go all the way down to the final 2 races now.
Tell you what, I don't think we were expecting this, especially with Norton not being present for this. So Nowak got that car repaired right away, so he had saved his spare car right to the end. Very wise decision there from Josh Nowak, but all he has to do now is just see through these last laps of the race and try and minimize those mistakes.
This has opened the race up now, hasn't it, in the midfield?
Yeah, absolutely, and he is, I think, effective 7th at the moment, just behind Northway.
Yeah, definitely seems that way. Northway actually has Nowak bearing down on him right now. Very aggressive curb usage by Northway. You can see Nowak is in full race mode here. Just trying to gain as much as he can. John King up in front of them. And King is lap traffic at the moment, so these guys will have to get by him quick sharp. So Northway v Nowak coming into Spoon. King is now well and truly affecting this, and he's just going to pull over to the inside.
Oh!
No!
Northway!
So that's going to be that there.
Oh, we're going to hit side by side into it. Yeah.
Oh, careful, guys.
Oh.
Nowak having to yield there. Robert Northway, very good defensive driving there. Just was able to make use of King's draft ever so slightly, just enough. But Nowak has...
Northway!
Oh, right into the wall is Robert Northway with big damage on his car. The front left wheel has actually stopped turning. So...
I think that may be race over.
Wow.
So, just in the space of a lap or so, we saw, I think, about half a race's worth of dramatic incidents happen right there. And just to boot, Northway overshot his pit box. So, that is really demoralizing, I would think, for him. Fortunately, he does have that spare car, but his left front wheel's still not touching the ground. So, it obviously didn't fix everything.
I think he might be race done. He might have already used his spare car.
Yeah.
That's it. So Northway becomes yet another retirement that makes it 7 cars retiring from this. No, 8, sorry. Raul Alvarez is out of the car as well. So 8 cars gone from this race. Real shame.
9 runners left.
Yeah, that's it. So John King is the last of those, with Martin Houston ahead of him. Daniel Aitchison will now be guaranteed 7th if he can keep it together.
Very, very good recovery from him, regardless of the attrition rate. He's done a really good job just keeping it clean after that mistake, and obviously hasn't had it completely his own way. He's had a couple of little mistakes, but keeping it out of the wall is a lot easier said than done around this circuit in this car.
Yeah, certainly is. At Suzuka, the walls are a little closer than they are at other circuits of this type, FIA Grade 1. So now, Aitchison has a huge gap up ahead of him to Thomas Knoll, so I don't think he'll have much of a chance of getting 6th out of this, but still, you just hold off Martin Houston and John King for the rest of this race. He will have that sorted, and it looks like he's in no trouble of losing ground to them right now.
Bowen versus Nowak's going to get interesting. Have a look at the last lap times between these two guys. Shane Bowen 36.9, Nowak 34.3, fastest car on track last time by.
Yeah, goodness me. Nowak very, very quick right now. And that would be due to that fast repair being done, those fresh tyres getting on the car. He's well and truly in it right now. He could take back fourth before this race is done. Stands a very good chance of doing that.
Very, very huge chance.
Third.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. Still in with a shout at a podium after all of these incidents is Nowak.
Be a very, very big ask for him to get on the podium with only 14 laps to go. He's got to find around about 40 seconds, but the pace that he has at the moment is incredible. So it's not out of the realms of possibility. It is unlikely, though. But that would be huge for the championship if Nowak could get past Dane Burns.
Yeah, it certainly would.
As we said, only 2 rounds to go in this championship. It has flown by. We're 12 rounds into this series, and it's been incredible the whole way through, knowing what all the different types of races we've had. And the 2 coming up are going to be really, really interesting. One very, very close to our heart next time up, Reese, the V8 Supercar at Bathurst for the Bathurst 500.
Yes, indeed. Really looking forward to that. Half length of the Bathurst 1000, so really looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do, especially in the international region. We have a lot of Australian drivers competing, so they'll be familiar with the V8, but I'm interested to see what drivers like Dean Moll and John King as well will be able to do in that situation.
Of course, talking about the Bathurst 500, on the day previous to the Bathurst 500, major series along with us here at V8 Online are going to present a special event. We're going to do a Bathurst 1000. So if you did not get a chance to run in the V8 Scops Bathurst 1000 and would like to have a run in a Bathurst 1000, day before the majors Bathurst 500, full length Bathurst 1000, driver swaps, 2 drivers, 161 laps of action right here on V8 Online.
Yes, indeed. Awesome opportunity there to get yourself in the hot seat to experience one of the most grueling events in motorsport, both real and virtual. So that'll definitely be an interesting one. And goodness me, September and October, an absolute Bathurst fest on V8's Online, Jay.
Wouldn't have it any other way, of course. So we had the Australian Online Supercar Championship on Friday night at Bathurst for the Bathurst 150, and that come right down to the wire. We saw one of the most bizarre finishes to a race, with a car reversing across the line to hold on to position by 0.006 of a second. That was incredible.
Yeah, certainly. And, you know, Bathurst really lending itself to that sort of finish. You never see a boring race at Bathurst, but the final round of the championship is going to be interesting as well. The Myrtle Beach 400. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the drivers will handle that one in the late models at night around Myrtle Beach Speedway.
A track that's not overly utilised on this side of the world. I don't believe I've ever been and watched a race at that circuit, let alone driven one. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how that goes and how the drivers tackle it in a car that they may not have driven for a while as well. It's going to be a cool one. As Shane Bowen is now under pressure from Josh Nowak. It's on.
Yes, indeed. It is definitely on. They're going through the S's at the moment, coming through Dunlop Curve. Have a look at the run Nowak's got there. Bowen just taking it easy for now. He's going slightly defensive, coming into the Degners. Oh, he goes off onto the curb and into the... Oh, goodness me. I almost thought he would have avoided the wall there, but unfortunately for Bowen, he's gone.
Disappointing way for that to end for Bowen. So now there's only one spot between 2 of our 3 championship contenders, being Burns and Nowak, but there is 33 seconds separating those 2 cars.
Yeah, that's it. And I think Burns doing very well at the moment. Nice consistent lap times. 35s and 36s of the last few laps.
Now,
He's just doing what he needs to do.
I
Sorry, Jay.
got a random question for you here, boys. Benefield at the moment has a 32-second lead. Will Benefield pit with, say, 2 or 3 laps to go to try and beat the fastest lap of the race?
I don't see what the point would be of doing that, but I guess he would do it.
If anyone would do it, it would be Benefield.
Yeah, it would, definitely.
Having met Daniel last weekend, very, very nice guy, very, very humble as well, but a very, very talented driver as well, and did a great job in the VSR Showdown last weekend, which we more than proudly brought to the world as part of the Shannon's Nationals, fully sanctioned by the Confederation of Australian Motorsport. It's pretty incredible what's coming up, Reese. I know you know little bits about what's coming up. It's going to be really, really exciting, the next VSR Showdown. We were hoping to have an announcement this weekend, but it will be announced in the next couple of days, and I'm pretty excited for what the future holds, Reese.
Yeah, I am definitely excited as well. Can't say too much right now, but goodness me, it's definitely going to be a good one.
I can hear Cam's brain ticking over right now, like, what is going on? What are you boys talking about? But make sure you do check us out on our Facebook page, facebook.com/VATsOnline, also on Twitter @VATsOnline, and as soon as the announcement drops, you will hear about it here first with us on VATs Online. And the next event for VSR Showdown will be nothing like the first one, but exactly the same as the first one in the hype level and the amazing location for the event. I can't wait for the next one, Reese. I know you can't as well. Cam, you're just wanting to find out.
Pretty much.
It's gonna blow your mind.
Oh, Daniel Benefield just making his way past Martin Houston, who just ran off at the chicane there, guys. So Houston seems okay on the technical side at the moment, and he's just managing to plug away there in 8th place.
It looks like his technical glitches have sorted themselves over the last few laps. He's actually starting to register lap times as right on cue. He just has another big technical glitch. So it was a little while before he actually started to register official lap times. And Shane Bowen's front wing now looking a little bit sick too. So it looks like he may have had another hit with the wall, because it did not look that bad after that last incident we saw when Josh Nowak was going through.
Yeah, certainly. But he's still managing to keep it going, and he's doing 1 minute 36s. So obviously working out well for him, or as well as it can, given the circumstances.
And I think one thing we may need to keep an eye on is that Thomas Knoll is actually not too far behind him, so this could possibly form into a battle in the next handful of laps.
Yeah, easily something that we could see eventuate. Knoll, of course, running 36s himself. Having just been passed by Mr. Benefield. So we'll see what Knoll can do from here.
He wouldn't have been too far off getting DRS. He's just outside the second behind Benefield, but not quite able to get it. But lap time for Knoll, around about 2/10 quicker. So he's starting to close the gap on Bowen. Bowen's pace has dropped off, but Nowak is the fastest car on track. Going to be hard for him to find 30 seconds in 8 laps, though.
Yeah, obviously that's that would take all of the top 3 crashing out of or losing connection to allow that sort of thing to happen. So,
oh no!
Oh,
just talking up how he's starting to close the gap, and he's clipped the wall.
Oh, goodness,
oh yeah,
yes.
the rise.
Yeah, he just lost the rear end there, and well, he didn't get too hard into the wall.
Tell you what, the commentator's curse. If anyone ever doubted that it was a real thing, all you have to do is watch this race, because we have absolutely proven it to be a thing this race.
Yeah, we certainly have, and we send our sincere apologies
to the entire field.
To the entire field, yes. a lot of addresses we're going to have to fill out sorry cards for, Jay. Do we have a person on that?
Look, I think we might just have to get everyone just to send us their address, and we'll send out a generic one to everyone.
Yeah. Or just get one giant one, and
everyone could just pass it on.
Yeah, just put it on Facebook and ask people to share it. That'll be fine. Surely.
So 8 laps to go, not too far away from this one ending. It's flying by 7 laps to go now as Benefield crosses the line. He's got a lead out now to 35 seconds. You can pretty much safely do that pit stop as long as he doesn't speed in the pit lane. Will we see him do it? I'm going to say yes. 4 laps to go. If he's got it out to 45 seconds, I'm going to say he's going to pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say he's probably going to do it just to
Just
try
for
and
fun.
have bragging rights.
He'll be wanting to do a 33. There's no doubt about it. He'll be wanting to do a 33 if he can. He's got to maybe find a few more seconds with a few more laps to go, but he has got enough room to get a free pit stop if he did want to do it.
What's the bet he might even do a low 33 because he'll chuck ERS in the qualifying mode?
Yeah, there's every chance there. Probably start saving up as much as you can. You can see the light flashing under brakes in the spoon, so harvesting as much energy as he can. Probably almost turn ERS off for a little bit just to save up. So if his lap times drop off in the next 2 laps, he's not pitting. If his lap times stay into what he's pitting to then try and smash out the fastest lap of the race. We're under 10 minutes to go though. This lap race is going by very, very quickly, so we weren't sure how long the race would take, but it looks like it's only going to be about 85 odd minutes.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. It's in line with what you told me before the start, Jay. I think you estimated it to be around 84 minutes, so not that far off.
The predictometer's actually working for a change.
Yeah, it is. Definitely
It's only taken 2 years.
Yep. It's okay. When we do something, we make it work. Eventually.
Classic technology though, not doing what you want it to do at first, and then once you get angry with it and just threaten it, it finally wants to work.
Oh, it probably was because I actually just went and used an old school calculator instead of the actual predictometer.
Very true. Well, I mean, that once again, that's the old technology superseding the new.
We are so technologically advanced here at Routes Online, we still use a calculator and a pen and paper.
That's it.
And stopwatches for lap times.
Let me just go into the backyard and check my sundial.
Throw some grass in the air to check the wind direction and speed.
Yeah, lick your finger. I think it's going to rain this afternoon.
I must say one thing about the weather for this race. The track conditions have been absolutely horrendous in regards to temperature. The track has been hot and getting hotter throughout the race.
Yeah, it's now at 41 degrees Celsius. It's partly cloudy out there, so the track does have some chance to cool down when clouds are passing in front of the sun, but yeah, unfortunately for those tyres, it's basically Hades out there.
And the amount of rubber that's actually been going down as well from such soft tyres is also making it a little bit more difficult and slippery out there as well. Bearing in mind, these tyres do tend to work a little bit better on a more rubbered track, apparently, so it's a little bit more slippery, but at the same time, it's actually not, which can probably confuse a lot of people.
Just confused me. Although you boys know that that's not that hard.
See, but you don't race, so...
Yeah, well, that's a very good point. I don't race, so I've got no idea what's going on. I don't even have a wheel plugged in, so... we've got, not too long to go. There's no really intense battles out on track. The gap that Benefield has got to Dean Mole is 38.6 seconds. If he's going to do it, he has to pit on this lap or the next. What do we think? I'm going to say he's going to do it.
I'm going to say no. Although knowing Benefield, he'll probably have the broadcast on in the background and he'll be listening to us.
Yeah. Well, there you go. He did not pit this lap.
Right, so he'd have to do it on the next lap. His lap time that time there was a 1:35.2. Only other driver in the 35s is Josh Nowak, but he's not able to make a big enough indent into Dane Burns at the moment. Still 28 seconds. Only gained about 5 or 6 seconds since he got past the car of Shane Bowen. But, Bowen also not threatened from Thomas Knoll now, who's pretty much matching him for lap times with that damage to his car.
Yep, so it seems like this is the running order as it's going to be. Benefield continuing to be Mr. Consistent out there.
And he's pushing it still. He's not conserving at all. You can see the way that he's throwing the car around, using the curbs, locking the brakes. You just saw a big lock up there, the left front. He's still pushing the limit and trying to get himself a big, huge gap. There's only 4 cars left on the lead lap, which is incredible as well.
Yeah, that's it. Shane Bowen, of course, being the most recent car to go a lap down. And of those top 4 that are still on the lead lap, the latter 2 are the championship contenders in this race. So we could see some interesting events happen in the last 2 rounds of this series once this race comes to an end. Benefield staying out of the pits again.
Please, Jay.
He could do it on this next lap, which would then mean he's got 1 flying lap to do it. But yeah, I might be going to get proved wrong. He's now 40.4 seconds as he does another 35, a 35.5 that lap there.
Yes, indeed. So looking at the rest of the field, it seems like everyone is very spread out here. These 9 cars remaining on the circuit. And at the moment, it seems that everyone has gotten a handle on these cars. They've recognised where they're going to be, so they're just making sure that they see the checkered flag.
Yeah, it's no real point, unless you know it was Daniel Benefield, at this point really pushing hard to try and sort of put a lap time out or anything because of how little time left there is. It's just better off cruising and making sure you just get to the flag and finishing this race rather than throwing it away with 2 laps to go or on the last lap for that fact.
See if he comes in this time. I'm not sure. I'm not sure now.
I'm going to stick with no, Jay.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'll go to no.
All right. I'll stay with yes, just to stay consistent, but I'm feeling like I'm well and truly going to be wrong. He has got it out to 41.5 seconds, though. So he can almost get a speeding in pit lane penalty and still maintain the lead of the race. Yeah,
Nope.
You boys win. 2 to go.
It's nice to win something.
Story of my life, I never win anything.
Unless it's a truck race.
Even then I don't win. I need to plug a wheel in.
So, second last lap, sorry, for Daniel Benefield. He's just, once again, keeping it nice and consistent. Another low 35, actually. Like his recent lap times, it's amazing how consistent they are, especially considering that, you know, I know if I were to jump in this car, you know, I'd probably be able to get it round the track after some practice, but I'd be nowhere near that consistent.
I'd be nowhere near that consistent or that quick, so I'd be lucky to get it into the 30-somethings, let alone consistent 35s and low 35s every lap. Great pace he's got. The other thing too, he hasn't really focused a huge amount on the F1 car for this weekend. Of course, Sports Car Open as well. This weekend, he's been a lot more focused on that with his team Positive Sim Racing than he has for the majors this weekend.
Yeah. So, sorry, go on, Cam.
I was just going to say, it's good point you actually raised this. So he's actually not doing too bad to manage to drive this car on the limit that he is with such little practice.
Yeah, that's right. Well, white flag flies for Daniel Benefield as he makes a tour around Suzuka International Racing Course for one last time. Just once again continuing to place the car almost exactly where he wants.
Interesting, the lap time there's probably one of the slowest laps he's done of the entire race, and it's still faster than 3/4 of the field's best lap.
Yeah, that's it.
So he's lapped them 35.8. The drivers from 5th back, their fastest laps have been 1 minute 36s or slower, so the pace from Benefield has been incredible. Dean Mole, Dane Burns, Josh Nowak, all fairly close in regards to pace, but just not able to have the consistency that we've seen out of Benefield in this car tonight.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, a little bit of a slide from Benefield, and
it's making us nervous.
Yeah, even then, Jay, we have noticed that Benefield has made a few large errors of his own. There has not been a single car in the field that has not spun at some point, so it's been a very difficult event for the drivers out there, but certainly provided some entertainment and some drama
Aitchison
for us
around
up here
turn
in the
one.
commentary box. Oh, there we go, Aitchison.
That's what we said about the old tyres as well. He was going to start to struggle. Take it away,
He'll
Reece.
recover, but Daniel Benefield coming across the start-finish line now to take the win here in the Japanese Grand Prix. Just a very good drive from start to finish for him. Dean Mole making his way, very dominant, and it just goes to show Dean Mole exiting Spoon right now. That is how big the gap was.
Half a lap. 45-second lead.
Oh.
Full half lap, or pretty close to a half lap lead in a 53-lap race, an 80-odd minute race. That's an incredibly quick race from him, and Benefield's done a fantastic job. Well done, Dean Mole. Once again wins the livery prize as well for best livery in the field.
Yes, indeed, and he'll be happy to back that up with a second place. Very good run from Mole there. One of the drivers to stay out of trouble the most during that race, so very good job from him. Dwayne Burns, though, taking third. Very good drive from him. And Josh Nowak making his way through Spoon. Well, he was definitely in recovery mode for the vast majority of that race, and I definitely think the championship is still open.
Definitely is, because Dane Burns finishing ahead of Nowak leaves the championship door still wide open between the three contenders of Burns, Nowak and Norton. Sorry, Cam.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see how Bathurst goes, especially at the mountain and the supercar. It's a totally different beast to this car, and can't wait to see it as Nowak comes across the line to take 4th position.
Yes, indeed, and looks to me like Shane Bowen and Thomas Knoll have yet to cross the line. The gap between them is actually not huge. Bowen just coming into the chicane, going very slowly through the Casio triangle to finish off this race, actually pulling into the pits.
Yeah, he's finished the race by the looks.
Yeah. My apologies
Aitchison's
for that.
doing some donuts though. He's happy that he actually finished the race. He did it on 23-lap old tyres at the end of that stint, so well done.
Yeah, definitely. Great recovery drive from Aitchison. We did think that he was down and out of this one, but he proved us wrong. And he's done very well to recover to finish in his finishing position. So, before we go to driver interviews, the results. Daniel Benefield taking the win by 45 seconds over Dean Mole, with Dwayne Burns in third. Josh Nowak finishing in 4th place. The last car on the lead lap, Shane Bowen finishing in 5th place, with Thomas Nolan 6th, Daniel Aitchison in 7th, Martin Houston coming up to finish 8th, with John King and Robert Northway, our first retiree, rounding out the top 10, and the rest of the field as follows: Raul Alvarez, Trevor Mack, Rory Boyd, Joseph Cardamone, Trent Gosley, Daniel Stevens, and Uldis Puteklis. Bit of a shame to see so many retirees from a field as small as this, but regardless, that is the way things stand. And our first driver interview is here. Mr. Daniel Benefield, you are the winner of the Japanese Grand Prix in the International Division of the Major Series. Congratulations. How was it?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not entirely happy with how I drove. The last stint was good. On that last set of tires, but the first two stints were pretty unbroadcastable word from my sense.
Yeah, we noticed that no one in the field was free from mistakes, and you made a few as well. So obviously, we did have a bit of a chat about how you're focusing on Sports Car Open with PSR. So obviously, this race not at the forefront of your mind.
No, I only more or less did minimum laps, did a few quali runs, did a quali session, and that was it. I don't think, like before the practice session, or the warm-up session I should say, before the race today, I'd say I haven't touched the car Wednesday. Simply because the rest of the time went into practicing for the race that starts in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, well, still, you must be happy with that result, especially with such a lead at the end.
Yeah, like as I said, I was not necessarily the first couple of stints I wasn't totally happy with, but the last stint I finally got into a rhythm. Funnily enough, as the fuel came off the car, and I mean, I'd sound like a driver saying I like the car without fuel in it. But yeah, like I had a rhythm. I got into rhythm in that last stint, and like that last stint felt really nice.
Yeah, definitely looked nice from our perspective. Well, before we let you go, Daniel, who would you like to thank?
Well, obviously our sponsors, the University of Isabel I and Ramen Industries, as well as the F1 guys in our team, so Ricardo Orozco, Daniel Beater, and Ronaldo, really helped with the setup. Kind of actually worked really well because the WCS was at Suzuka as well, so I kind of just those guys really helped me a lot with setup as well for this week.
Okay, awesome. So Daniel Benefield there, your race winner. We'll go now to the second place finisher, Dean Mole. Dean, the Crayola car is on the podium in an F1 at Suzuka. How does it feel?
Real happy with that. I should have my daughter do all my liveries because between the IndyCar and this seems to be my best results.
So obviously a good luck charm then.
Yeah, absolutely. I almost threw the race away on lap one. Fortunately, had a nice light touch of the wall, and I was just able to keep it going and, put in consistent laps after that.
It was really all about consistency, this race, especially seeing as the entire field made at least one error.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't have anything for Daniel. He had the pace on all of us, but I saw Josh had issues on the start, and Dwayne and I were pretty close on pace. So even with that, it was a fun, competitive race.
Well, you come away with a second place at Suzuka. How you feeling for Bathurst?
I think I'm in the wrong majors region for that. With all the Australian and New Zealand natives, I think I'm going to be in trouble, but give it my best effort.
Certainly will. And will we be seeing a Crayola car for that one as well?
Yeah, I think I'm going to put the daughter to work after the results I've gotten.
Very nice. So you have an official livery designer, Dean. Before we let you go, who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, V8's Online, Majors Organization for putting on the league, and my team, iRacing Today Motorsports, irtmteam.com.
Excellent stuff. Dean Mole there, your second place finisher. And our final driver interview of the night, Dwayne Burns, your third place finisher. Dwayne, welcome to the commentary box. You finished on the podium at Suzuka, and it was certainly an interesting one.
Yeah, it definitely was. I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit, but I could have had second place there. But I guess the goal all along was just to actually make it to the finish. So to get on the podium, I've got to be happy with that.
Hard to get a handle on the car around here, as we saw from just about everybody.
Yeah, it's a real handful. One little mistake and you're off into the wall. So I think my issue on the in-laps was having to think about making a pit stop was a bit too much to process while driving this car all at once.
Evidently. Well, nonetheless, you managed to finish ahead of Josh Nowak, and so the championship fight is still alive coming into the last 2 rounds of the season.
Yeah, I guess I gained a little bit on him. I'm not sure whether I can really take the win in the series. I'm going to be missing the next round as well, but I think I still got a good shot at keeping second place. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, we've certainly seen you've had a bit of success in ovals, so Myrtle Beach will probably be one of those rounds where we might see you up there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I hope so. I quite like the late models, but I haven't done any racing at Myrtle Beach. But yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
Excellent stuff. So before we let you go, Dwayne, any shout-outs?
Yeah, I guess the usual. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and Mike and John for putting on the league, and thanks to my teammate Shane and everyone else on my team, Avatar Auto Racing.
Dwayne Burns there, your 3rd place finisher. So, Cam, that brings to an end tonight's proceedings. Next round of the championship, 500 kilometers at Bathurst. Very big change.
Yes, indeed. Completely different car. Back into a car with a roof, a touring car, the supercar, around Bathurst for what is going to be 80 laps, half of 161. So going to be very, very interesting to see who gets crowned the champion of that race, and be very interesting to actually see who turns up for that race as well, and see whether we possibly get some ring-ins such as Rogers or Phil Sale or any those sort of Scops guys that could possibly cause a bit of interruption to the party.
Yeah, certainly. It may certainly throw up some more championship implications. Well, hope that you all enjoyed that one out there. And of course, the Majors series coming to a conclusion before the end of the year. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how the last 2 rounds of the season go. The fun does not stop, though. Tomorrow, you can tune in to V8's Online for the official iRacing V8 Supercar Series at Alton Park. That's going to be an interesting one. Alton Park, always fun in the V8 Supercar. And of course, on the Wednesday, we've got the V8's Online Porsche Super Cup, which always throws up a really good race. So we've got quite a bit up coming in the next week. On Friday, we've got the Australian Online Supercar Championship at Watkins, and then we'll all have the weekend off because it's the big one of the year, the real Bathurst 1000. So we'll definitely be having our eyes trained on screens all across Australia looking for that. Hope that you will be too. So it's goodbye from us here at V8's Online. This was the international region of the Major Series, the Japanese Grand Prix. Your race winner, Daniel Benefield. We'll see you next time.